This question is for you, Mr. Sarge. There's been a lot in the news lately about the Cal Maritime Academy wanting to expand into the downtown area of Vallejo. If the city of Vallejo were given the opportunity to expand the presence of the California Maritime Academy campus into downtown Vallejo, what, if anything, could you do to aid this effort? In particular, is there a possibility of generating any federal funds for the expansion and creation of a full-service California Polytechnic State University in downtown Vallejo?
Sure. Yeah. You know, I've got a few supporters at the Maritime Academy. We just had a nice little event at their house. If you go by the Vallejo Bay Area, you'll see my sign waving, flying from a sailboat out there. So I've had a chance to find out a little bit about the Maritime Academy and what it provides this community as well as the industry as a whole. I think it's great. I would definitely want to see the expansion of that program. I would want to take a look at the details. I'll tell you right now, I have not had a chance to look at the details of that program. I want to see the common sense of it, the sustainability of it. The investment dollars need to be put in and make sure we can get a return on it when you talk about a maritime academy and how we are only growing our commerce on the seas. An expansion makes sense starting, to me, from the get-go. But that would be my philosophy going into any question of should we put federal funds into something. Is it a wise use of your tax dollars? Is it something that we should do? One, is it a constitutional thing? Two, is it something that the taxpayers that are paying for this are going to benefit from? And is it a wise investment? Is there a return on the investment that is worth your hard-earned dollars? So going into it, I would want to see those filters or hurdles be crossed before I gave my support to it and tried to work for something in the Congress to provide those dollars. Now that being said, helping out Vallejo with jobs and opportunity is absolutely something I'm for and want to make work. So now I'm coming into this as your congressman going, this is a great idea. Taking that military attitude again, how do we make it work so it does make sense? Let's work at it from that attitude and make it happen. There's a lot of things that we can do in this district. Vallejo is one of them. We had a bankruptcy of this city, which was very unfortunate. But it happened because of irresponsible government, irresponsible financial management of the people you elected, trusted to take care of your city and your tax dollars. And they failed. And that's what's happening at all levels of government. And that's the fiscal responsibility that we need to vote back in. So when you ask me a question like that, I'm going to make sure it's fiscally responsible. And if it's not, and it's going to help my district, I'm going to try to make it fiscally responsible so it makes sense. That's the kind of congressman I'll be for you. That's the kind of representation you'll get from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman.
Yes, we've been working with the Maritime Academy for some time on this idea of bringing a satellite campus to downtown Vallejo. We also have interest from the Solano community colleges to participate in that. They now have a satellite campus here. It's vastly oversubscribed than what they believe they would be at this time, which is exciting and encouraging for the citizens of Vallejo. We also now just have an agreement between Sonoma State and Solano Community Colleges, and Maritime Academy is looking at that so that we can really provide the most efficient hub and the least expensive hub for people in this area to go to the community colleges, to the state colleges, to the Maritime Academy. The Maritime Academy is no longer just about going to sea. My cousin went there. He just had his reunion this weekend of people that went there. I asked him, what are your colleagues doing? They're in stationary engineering. They manage big systems for big companies, for real estate companies, and all of the electrical systems, heating and cooling systems. So there's all kinds of job opportunities out of that. So we've got to expand the horizons of the Maritime Academy, still having its focus on what it does best, prepare people to go to sea for the limited jobs that are there, but in the San Francisco Bay Area, in the tug and barge, in oil spill liability, which is going to be, unfortunately, because of the Gulf, additional job opportunities because we didn't monitor that the way it should have been because of the past administration. You talk about regulations. They let the oil companies come in, fill out their own permit, and said that's good enough. And then when we had the rigs blow up, you can boo all you want, folks, but when you let the oil companies fill out the permit that says we'll do a safe job and nobody checks it, you're looking for trouble.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you. This question is for you, Congressman Miller. You alluded to it in your opening statement regarding the dredging and the dismantling of ships over in Rhode Island. There's been a lot in the news the last couple of weeks regarding Texas really trying to get this, and a congressman in Texas who's really fighting avidly to get these ships down there. Does it make sense to send these ships thousands of miles away through the Panama Canal, and they can do it less than 10 miles away here with a base closed base that is ready to receive these? And if you are in support, what are you going to do to help further ensure that this comes to move?
There's no question it makes sense. The only problem we had was there was no private sector bidder on the West Coast. We finally have secured a company that says and has the expertise to do the bid, to make the bid for these ships. The reason we've been towing them to Texas is nobody in the Bay Area, nobody in LA, nobody in Seattle, nobody's looking for these ships. So now we have this opportunity. We've been here before as Vallejo. We've had people come and say they're going to scrap ships. They take the bronze off, they take the propellers off, they take the brass off, and they sit on the waterfront, and the government has to take them back. I've made it very clear. This is about the financials of these companies. But what I did was 4 weeks ago, I sat down with all of the federal agencies, with the businesses, with the financial supporters of this. I said, here's the deal. We've got to get these permits in a timely fashion. We've got to be able to dredge before the end of December, and you've got to prove that you have the financial capabilities, because we're not going to leave this city on the hook. So far, keep your fingers crossed, it's working. This is the first time we've had a private sector bidder for these ships. So 2 ships are made available. Yes, Texas is upset about this, but when you spend $1 million to tow a ship to Texas, it makes no sense if you have the capacity to do it here in the San Francisco Bay Area. The shipyards in San Francisco have been full. They don't want the business. The Richmond shipyards, we couldn't find a private sector party that wants this, so we're very excited about this. This is somewhere between maybe 75 to 200 jobs, and if the ships continue, because I think clearly we have the financial advantage in that bidding process, and if this company is financially sound, then I think we're on our way, because we have, as you know, the mothball fleet out there. Very excited about this administration's approach to this. Over the last 10 years, we couldn't get anybody to talk with California, with the agencies, about getting those ships out of the Delta.
Thank you.
You bet. Yeah, this is a hot topic, I tell you. Did my microphone fall off there? Hey, this is a hot topic, because here's a city hurting. Jobs are right there, right in the bay. You're looking at them every day you drive on that 680 coming over here. I would have been jumping up and down on my desk on the House floor going, this has to happen in my district. It makes sense. It only makes sense. What's best for America? You talk about environmental issue, dragging those leaky, rusty ships all the way through the Panama Canal to Texas. We could have held it up on the environmental issue alone until we got it fixed here. They've been waiting in that bay for decades. They can wait a few months until we figure out how to get it done here. And again, we got to make it make sense. Can't just throw a bunch of tax dollars at it, but that's a jobs program. That's a stimulus bill, making sure those ships only go a couple of miles versus thousands of miles. And that's something you could sell on a fiscally sound, responsibly basis. How many millions of dollars are we going to pay to tow ships versus how many millions of dollars, it's going to be less, do we need to provide the infrastructure here in Vallejo? Let's work that issue. Now I want to go back to the oil thing a little bit. Yeah, the oil leak and explosion in the Gulf was terrible. And yeah, there was some mistakes on BP, you bet. But I'm not against good government. And this is another place where government failed to do its job. If you don't have good government, you're going to have things like that. We have to have oversight. We have to make sure the good regulations are enforced so things like that don't happen. And the 21st century needs a lot more things like nuclear energy, other drilling that we need to do out there, taking the time to figure out how to make new energy sources work. And we need to make sure they're safe and viable. And we have to have government oversight that's going to make sure those things don't happen. And that's something I'll support as well. Thank you.
Thank you.